What's going on, everybody? Welcome to, well, I would say it's a little bit of a breaking news stream, which we hardly ever do on this channel, because you probably see me just like put out shorts and stuff like that. But before I get into it, if you guys are new, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. That being said, obviously we do have some bit of breaking news with Ohtani going to the Dodgers. Quite honestly, I'm not surprised whatsoever that Ohtani is a Dodger at this point. 10 years, 700 million. To be fair, um, the Dodgers are only getting themselves, for only this year, from the DH perspective with Shohei Ohtani, but they won't get him for like to the full pitching side of things till the following year. And it's just one of those things. It's like, I mean, glad that he's out of away from the Angels, but to the Dodgers, like I said, I'm not surprised. But at the same time, can you really trust the Dodgers to actually win any postseason series after 162 games? Because that's kind of the biggest knock that the Dodgers have had the last couple of years. And quite honestly, I have to say go back to 2017 for that be the case. And yeah, we also you kind of saw that. For those who have not really paid attention the last couple of years with the Dodgers, if you're not a Dodger fan, not myself included, because well, I'm a Phillies fan. Well, here's the thing, Crazy Jews. To really put it that way, you're going to get for this year. You're only getting Ohtani from the DH side of things because he's still got to go under the knife for Tommy John. Still have to or I think it might have gotten Tommy John. I can't entirely remember, but I still think you're going to get him from the DH side in 2024, but you won't get him to get the whole package, so to speak, in 2025 when he can do both. And not like I said, not trying to pick on the Dodgers, but the only thing that with the Dodgers since 2017 they have a hard time winning a postseason series outside of 2020. But a lot of baseball fans have mixed emotions with that season, nonetheless. But obviously, so I was getting 70 million over the span of 10 seasons. And like I said earlier, I don't think this comes as a surprise, just because and I want Crazy Juice, and I agree with Crazy Juice on this one. I was expected to see him at least between the 600, 650 type of range because obviously, a little bit of, not say a bit of an injury history, I mean, but has dealt with some obviously, Tommy John's probably the major injury. Twice he's had that. And I'm surprised he didn't even get like at least lower than 500. At least 500 was the lowest I could probably see. Um, any team would pay for that matter. To be fair, like I said, to be fair, I think it's you're good, but and obviously we all know that Ohtani does love the West Coast out there. The thing is, too, I said this on Twitter as well that he's going from one failure of an LA team to another, in a sense, and the Dodgers, who for some reason after 162 games, they just seem to not want to put forward a lot with and actually want to actually win a World Series legitimately because let's be real. Like I said, I'm not really going to nitpick with that because, yeah. So pretty much the deal is, according to Jeff Passan, 10 years, 700 million, and the fact that there's going to be no opt outs. And also, Passan also said, saying quote that Otani's contract has significant deferrals that most include a salary. An idea a source said that was Otani's and deferring the money, which reduces the cost of the competitive balance tax hit and will allow the Dodgers to build a better team around him. It kind of sounds to me like that he actually, well, and obviously we know the California state tax, which is very high, for that matter, for those who do, well, because for me, because, people who live in here in the Northeast kind of come bitch and complain about a 6% sales, 6% tax. Just imagine, but like I said, I can't really say on that, but obviously that deal is for Ohtani will it be the largest guarantee in sports history, and I would say if it was like say all 100% all around the board. Sure, there's an argument to me he's worth at least over 700 million. But the fact of the matter is that he has two Tommy John surgeries so far in his career, and obviously had dealt with a bleak injury, that sort of thing. I thought that would have brought down his value a smidge, not too much. And like I said, crazy news. Like I said, I'm not trying to pick on your Dodgers, but I'm just trying to point out the complete obvious. Like I said, I'm not the kind of person who will shit talk a lot of teams because that's not me. I see where I try to be as objective as I possibly can. And case in point with the Dodgers and sometimes the rest of LA sports, it really does, you know, make a lot of people wonder. It's like, can you really win anything with certain people? And as crazy just pointed out, can't really win anything with Dave Roberts. And honestly, I'm not going to be surprised if he stays another couple of years. Quite honestly, if he's going to put out more winning seasons for that matter. And it's just, I just don't think the Dodgers are say with Dave Roberts and the Dodgers are a perfect fit by this stretch of the imagination. Because it's like, yeah, you had Don Mattingly for so long, and granted, yeah, you also and it's probably another guy I'm probably missing. Probably the mid 2000s. I can't think of his freaking name at the moment, but that's besides the point. Yeah, look, to any Dodgers fans out there that are like I said, and like I said, I'm going to say this a ton. Look, I'm not going to try to pick on anybody for that matter. Look, like if you're going to call me a hater all you want, I don't give a shit. I'm just trying to be objectively and see the Dodgers from an objective perspective because, like, look, I like the talent what the Dodgers have over there. Walker Buehler, for the love of if he can stay healthy for Christ's sakes, will be nice. I do like Gavin Lux, which was very unfortunate this past season actually when he tore his ACL, or I think it might have been his ACL. I just feel like the Dodgers just there's something missing, and it's really hard to really put the finger on it. And probably say, oh, he didn't have the pitching staff and what, yada, yada, yada. That really not be the case, quite honestly. And in case of Ohtani, would it change somewhat? Sure. But if you can't, okay, so the way I can put this as, like I said, try to be as objective as possible. The way I see this is if the Dodgers can't get nothing going or win a World Series in the 10 years that they have Ohtani, what was the point of signing him? That's kind of the biggest thing. And yes, obviously this all stemmed back the last couple of years when they're shedding payroll. When you had teams had higher payrolls than the Dodgers, not because it's like, oh, the Dodgers are going to willing to spend money. They were willing to land that big fish, which was Shohei Ohtani, obviously wasting it, and obviously, unfortunately for him, was kind of wasting away down in Anaheim. But I think overall, look, I'm intrigued to see how this really plays out over the 10 seasons because by the time Jesus Christ, I'll be before I even hit. Now I just fucking think about it, I'm going to get fucking old after that. I'm only 20 fucking 6. I'm not looking forward to go to my late 30s for Christ's sakes. Well, that's besides a little bit of a joke. But overall, I think credit to from my understanding, and obviously as Jeff Passan put it out with that, it's like it just seems to me that Ohtani sounds like he took a bit of a pay cut. Yes, I know at face value it doesn't really seem that way, but according to Passan, with the fact that that Ohtani wants to have multiple deferrals within his contract to at least keep the Dodgers under the luxury tax threshold, kind of sounds like he did decide to take a bit of a pay cut. Now, like I said, there is a bit of a risk with Ohtani at times, with injuries, and obviously in a case like Ohtani, which we all know that we have not seen a player like that in well over 100 years in this sports history. Granted, I mean the dude dealt with a couple Tommy Johns. I think he also did it with oblique. I would say this bit of a risk for the Dodgers to the fact that how much longer because I think he's what in his late 20s, give or take, almost starting to hit his 30s. Because by the time his contract's done, pretty much up with the Dodgers, he's going to be in his give or take late 30s. I like I said, it's really hard to place to see what this team can be. Now, the way I look at this, if somehow, post chance, whatever the case may be, if the Dodgers do somehow win a World Series, let's see hypothetically with Ohtani, then I think it's worth of an investment. Like I said, I'm not going to hold my breath on that, but like I said, it's a hypothetical question or a hypothetical thought, because right now it's real hard to tell where the Dodgers stand right now because obviously there's still got to be more moves to be made. And obviously you have to improve some spots because I don't know how Gavin Lux is going to be looking like coming off the ACL injury. You also had Dustin May coming off of Tommy John. They got some guys coming off some major injuries, and that's kind of a bit of a concern if I'm going to be completely honest. And yeah, and yes, the NL West still warrants through the Dodgers. Don't get me wrong, and unless with Dave Roberts at the helm, and boy, I've heard this a ton. And I'm like I said, I'm not saying this facetiously, but I've heard this a ton from Dodgers fans that I know personally, and I also know it here on the YouTube side, on the YouTube space as well. Like my boy Eric, Eric Flores, or the SC Raiders talk for those who know what I'm talking about. In case in particular, I've heard a ton. Well, most Dodgers fans are they don't even want Dave Roberts. Yeah, like I said, I'll talk more on the MLB free agency at another point. But overall, like I said, I think with Ohtani, like it's a bit of a risk at the same time. Yeah, you're getting a special two-way player, but at the same time, who has dealt with a couple of major injuries, which is Tommy John twice in his short MLB career. I think how long has he been in the league? Since what, 2018, 2019, give or take? I have no freaking clue because it has been a long friggin' while. With Ohtani, though, like I think any team will be lucky enough to have Ohtani, but at the same time, you're also putting the risk involved, and obviously with the injury factor. Because, like I said, with the injuries that he's had, oblique, couple Tommy Johns, at the same time, which and I think also there's probably other injuries, and I'm probably not going to say he's injury prone, but at some point there's got to be a decision. If the injuries continue to pile up, he's got to have to make a decision. Like, do you still be one or two way, or do you just want to stick to one position at that point? And it really is. So with Ohtani, okay, so he'll be 39 by the time his deal is up with the Dodgers. So back in 2023, posted 304 48 with a 1066 OPS. Obviously now with obviously signing with the Dodgers. That yeah. So and obviously it's kind of crazy. He made the announcement via his Instagram that he's going to be signing with the Dodgers, and we all knew that was going to happen because. What up, Key? Yeah, 10 years, 700 mil. And the fact that, yeah, all this money for a DH and not see him pitch in 2025. And like I said, that's got a bit of a risk for the Dodgers. And then again, you got to give some of the Dodgers the credit, though. They always will take risks, and sometimes it really works out for them. Case in point. Now, at times, it's just, look, I'm glad the Dodgers got him out away from the Angels. But at the same time, the Dodgers are going to put themselves in the same kind of similar situation. Well, it's a better situation for Ohtani at the same time because they actually know how to develop and actually build a team around him. The problem is, can they really win the goddamn postseason? That's my biggest concern, or the biggest knock on the Dodgers. Because with Dave Roberts at the helm, if you take away that 2020 with the Astros behind with next to it, is the Dodgers really worth it in the playoffs? That's my thing. I mean, shoot, really, yeah. And it's like, and that's I know key. Yeah, and look, I'm not saying it because if it really does work out, that's great because like I said, yeah, at times in baseball you do have to take risks. Case in point with Ohtani, yes, but some of the couple major injuries he's had, I think if I'm going to have to say this, like say put a prediction on this, but if he stays, let's say does well offensively in 2023, or I say 2024, I'm sorry, I cannot. Duh. There you go. That's a brain fart for you. But then when it gets ready to come back in 2025 for the pitching side of things, boy, I'm going to be very impressed with that rotation with either if Clayton Kershaw decides to come back for one more year, or does he hang up the spikes? That should be the question that Kershaw should be asking himself. Hopefully Walker Buehler should be ready to go by this season. Like I said, I don't know what his progress is from obviously coming off of Tommy. I think Tommy John was it, or I think he had some sort of different surgery to fix his UCL, something like that. Oh God, yeah, and like, and I'm not gonna, and I'm really kind of picturing this in my head. I do think he's going to put up some pretty good numbers like he did last year. I think he's just one of those guys that's like he doesn't. Now I'll be shocked if he does regress, but at the same time, my look in baseball you have to take risk, and take it from me. Yeah, and we took risk. Oh, shoot. I mean, I've been a Phillies fan for as long as I can remember, and there's going to be names that I cannot remember the life of me that we took risk on. Case in point, look at this past year, fucking Kimbrel, we took a risk on, and well, that was 50-50. But in base, and especially at this time of the year in free agents, you have to take risks to if you because right now the biggest goal for a lot of these, well, most of these MLB teams, not counting Las Vegas, the Athletics, it's the Winter World Series. It's we've seen, and according to Dave Schoenfield, yeah, and he pretty much points out the biggest. We all know that we never seen another player like Shohei because let's be the last person we ever saw it. That's been well documented was the great Bambino back in the over 100 years. Yeah, that's true, Arco. But at the same time, he's going to give a lot because holy crap! Because look, as much as I don't watch the Dodgers a lot, but I do want to see him just torture the ever living hell out of the Padres because that would be funny. That would be funny as hell for me to see. Yeah, I mean, one of the kind of miracle. Yes, we all friggin' like all this like stuff we pretty much know with Ohtani since he's been in the league. We already know, and yeah, we have never seen a $700 million contract, which is true because I think what was the I think the largest before I think might have been Harper, but I'm not entirely too sure if that's the case. I mean, look, come on, and obviously, let's be real. I think he was better this year in the last couple of years in terms of offensive numbers. Second unanimous MVP, no surprise there. I don't really hate the Padres, but ever since the 2022 postseason, they talked so much shit. And, well, that's most of their fan base, too. And it was kind of funny to see their kind of bit of a downfall. Getting all the guys, had a fully healthy Tatis, brought in Sanger Bogart. Look, all the moves that the Padres made, and they still couldn't, and they still underperformed. That's what makes it funny to me. At the same time, but overall, like as David Schoenfield puts out, obviously here on ESPN, which crazy as I know you, they obviously call it the fraud race because right now you really can't buy into them. And the fact you let and Bob, oh yeah, dude, I see TRL already tweeting on Twitter or putting on Twitter that he's going to hit them at TRL, but at the same time, he is also the kind of guy. He's also the same division rival as the Dodgers, and he has his thoughts on them. But going back to kind of want to go over some stuff as well. I mean, obviously the coming out this year probably one of the greatest Westboro, his best offensive season to date. He led the majors in OPS with the eighth highest WRC plus since 2010. I mean, pitching wise, dude's fucking disgusting. Had a second lowest batting average against, fourth highest strikeout rate among those with at least 180 pitched. And I think we all knew he was going to get $700 million. If I'm going to be completely honest, Daniel. Look, and I won't argue on this one. Like we all knew he was going to get at least between the $600 to $700 million range. Honestly, the lowest, especially in terms of the injury history he's had. Oh man, but yeah, and Arco's right. But I don't think that would be a problem with the Dodgers though going into 2024 with Ohtani. If he can just hit for right now, that's a plus other way with that sweet starting nine you got. And honestly, best improvement in the DH spots over Max Munch because let's be who's fucking absolutely dog shit. Sorry, I'm gonna have to. I'm being blunt as I possibly can. But yeah, obviously after Ohtani, he was the pretty much we all know that he was a soft free agent, but also put up is from 2021 to 23 put up 28.6 beat WAR for which is pretty good, which is third highest in the 3-year stretch since 1980. Shelley Elliott, only Barry Bonds at 32.8, and from 01 to 03. Randy Johnson's 29 from 2000 to 2002. And every team went on time. Yeah, well, there are certain teams that could use a guy like Ohtani. And also the Dodgers, the Mets, who was an option too, because obviously the owner has deep pockets. But then again, we've seen how that really worked out with the Mets. Overspending a lot on guys that somewhat slightly underperformed. Okay, so the largest guaranteed contract, obviously, which tops Mike Trout at 426.5. Which, by the way, I don't know why he even resigned with the damn Angels. No, he was going to waste his entire career there, and the Angels are going to win, not going to win anything. I'm sorry, but that's just really stupid. Oh yeah, I can't agree more. Look, I've always had my doubts with my team. Trust me, I know. But from the Dodgers side of things, I try to be, like I said, from an objective point of view, yeah, there are some questions that needs to be answered. Can this pitching really hold up? Because Clayton Kershaw, how much time does he have left before he hangs it up? Can Dustin May actually stay healthy for a change? Same with Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler's kind of been hurt a few times, and also the manager is also a question should be questioned as well. Can he really win anything under him? And I don't know. Like, it is really weird to see what this team is going to look like in 2024 with Shohei. It's probably going to be the same. Like, I don't know who else they're going to either sign, or they'll probably bring him from the minor league, or at least give a look in spring training, which is going to be interesting to see. But overall, like I said, third base for me, I think it's a bit of a question. There is some, I'm not going to say some glaring holes, but there are some things that I can see that the Dodgers have to somewhat fix. Look, getting Ohtani is one thing. Yes, you had to improve the DH spot. And then once 2025 comes around, you definitely have a better arm of the rotation. Now, the Dodgers is one of those teams that's like, as good as they can be, they're probably, it's like this, I could put this in NFL terms. They're kind of like the Niners in a sense. No offense, Crazy Jews, are probably the most injury-plagued franchise I've seen in quite some time. And that's why the way I look at it as a Dodgers. It's, I don't know. It's really hard to explain what I'm trying to say. But yeah, and I can understand you have your doubts with the franchise. Sure, I mean, what fan base doesn't have doubts with as well? But I think overall, really looking at this as a whole, I'm not surprised that Ohtani is a Dodger at the end of the day. But and Crazy Juice puts it perfectly, there's some doubts that can this team really win under Dave Roberts? Can they actually win, actually perform well in the postseason after a 162 game schedule under Dave Roberts? Because obviously Dave Roberts has shown, excluding 2020, can this franchise, has had some great players over the years. Even some at the latter half of the career, sure, I remember in those days. But because I know, I'm pretty sure probably everyone's probably asking themselves, mostly Dodger fans, can you really win anything under Dave Roberts? For me, I can't really answer that, because we're going to have to wait and see how 2024 pulls out. Because if the Dodgers continue this trend where they'll say, oh, they'll perform well in the regular season, they'll somehow get into the postseason, and just for some reason they just completely fall flat. And obviously, and for me, I shouldn't say anything, because we did the exact same shit in the NLCS. Like I said, I can't say much on that, because we experienced the same thing. We got lazy. And yeah, and like I said, I'm trying to put this in comparison to the Dodgers, and yeah, and obviously, yes, the Niners play in a different part of in California, granted. But when we look at the comparisons of how these two franchises are built, yes, in two different sports, they'll bring some good players, do well in the regular season, and at times they'll run into the injury bug, and obviously we saw that, bits and pieces last year. Obviously, when even this past off season when the Dodgers decided to let Trey Turner walk to Philly, for that matter. You had Gavin Lux as his replacement. Unfortunately, here comes the torn ACL, which that really look. To be honest, that really does suck. I'm not going to really hold it. Not going to lie. I think this team can have potential to win and be a dynasty in Major League Baseball. But the problem is, can you really actually win anything with a guy like Dave Roberts at the helm, who, for some reason, doesn't know what the hell he's doing most of the time? Case in point, look at last year. You had, I think was it the year before? Someone let me know because I can't not remember the life of me. I think it might be the year before. I think in 2022, where you had a guy like Rich Hill almost had I think either perfect game or no hitter go, and it decides to pull him in the 6th inning with a reasonable pitch count, for that matter, because the analytics said so. I'm sorry, but that's some of the unluckiest bullshit I've ever seen from a manager perspective. Because if the dude is the offense was cooking, so was Rich Hill in 2022 or 2022. No, because he went to Pittsburgh this year. I'm trying to think of him. Sorry, I'm trying to think over. I'm trying to think. But you kind of understand what I'm getting here. The Dodgers, their way of thinking of doing things, not from scouting. Look, pretty much everything from this organization from scouting purposes is fine, but the managerial choice that Dave Roberts makes really hurts his team. In a sense where, I've seen where, going back to my example back in 2022 with Rich Hill when he was only had that one stint with the Dodgers, had a no hitter going, I think going into the 6th, if I remember correctly, with the original pitch count, and he decides to pull him because we don't want to waste time. First of all, Rich Hill's been in this league long enough to know that you really can't. You can't do that. You really can't. And boy, it really does stink to see a talented franchise as the Dodgers continue to fall flat, no matter not in the regular season, of course, but it's in terms of postseason. Because I think this team has 2 World Series right now. Could have at least had more. Had Dave Roberts at least potentially had another one. Had Dave Roberts not really, screw around, basically fuck around and find out. Is basically what I'm saying against a team like the Diamondbacks. And going back to that postseason with them in Arizona, because trust me, we were in the end of it, and trust me, I can tell that from experience, and we saw that, and trust me, my team's won the end of that as well. What feels to me with the Dodgers, sometimes they do in the postseason, they overlook their teams they're not competition, so to speak, and a lot of times that comes back to bite them in the ass. And obviously, this past postseason, it really bit them hard to the point where it was embarrassing. They got swept. I mean, what else do you have to say for a historic franchise that is the LA Dodgers, that's known to scout well, draft well, and actually has put out some really good products on the field year in, year out for the longest time that I remember. And the fact that he only focused 2 World Championships out, well, obviously, the first one was before guys like me who were born in the late 90s were not even thought or existing. But at the same time, it really does. And also, it makes a lot of baseball fans wonder, could Shohei's value drop to at least between 6 to 650 in that $1 million range? Sure, like I said, because obviously with the injury history. But we all know, I mean, right now, it's obviously when he became when a free agency started, that was the biggest talking points. Could Ohtani get 700 mil? Because we were kind of saying the exact same, obviously not say the exact same thing, but kind of something similar to Juan Soto looking for a 500, I think something $1 million deal or something around that, kind of that same age, the years, and probably less than what Ohtani. Well, that's the thing, but that's a whole. It'll be interesting to see, because obviously now the AL West is, because before, and it looks like I'll talk about that on another edition of Between the Lines, which boy, I know we've been holding those kind of episodes for a little bit. Um, but overall, the way you're looking at this team as a whole, it really does. It is definitely going to be tough. I think and obviously it's going to be the same with the well, not really with the NL West and the NL West because the Rockies sucky. Diamondbacks, we don't know where they stand. Obviously, picking up A-Rod. The Padres, who knows with them? Obviously, we'll see. It's going to be interesting with Mike Shildt at the helm. After Bob Melvin taking the job to go to San Francisco, who I still don't think. I think they're going to be improved, but not to the point they're going to compete for a division title. Now, in terms of the AL West, which, like I said, I know we're going to get a little bit off track here, but I think it would be nice to open up for some questions, stuff like that. But talk some a little bit of baseball a little bit. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see the Rangers go back to back, and it definitely is going to be tough. But it's going to be, like I said, because before the Rangers went it all, which that I never had on my bingo card. Well, congrats to Texas, by the way, for that matter. I still think it's going to be a dogfight because for me, I think Houston's going to get better, especially under Joe Espada. I think he's going to have a really nice coaching staff to go along with him at the same time. And, and you probably would have asked me, like, who was your obscure or obviously the dark horse World Series pick. I would have gone Texas out of the way because, look, I remember the last few, even go back to the mid to early 2010s, where the Texas Rangers had some of the best teams, guys in their primes with Adrian Beltre, Elvis Andrus, Mitch Two Bags, Mitch Moreland, and obviously, yeah, and this also at the same time, you didn't really have the universal DH that we know nowadays. But I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of happy for the Rangers fan base because boy, they've been through so fucking much over the last how many years for crying out loud. And granted, I mean, had some of the old time greats, sure, guys like Hank, and Chris. I mean, look, I think Chris Young has done a really nice job from the executive perspective. But as as a former, watching him as a player, was that not impressive? Because I mean, the dude was kind of much more of a BP guy for that matter. But you probably want, and obviously for those who are just coming in or just seeing this for the first time, welcome, or just stop by and whatnot. Appreciate you guys for stopping by, and shout out to everyone that's been in the chat or just tuning in. Obviously, like I said, we'll talk some a little bit more Ohtani and some a little more baseball talk. That's kind of basically what we hardly ever do on this channel. And yeah, it's and there are times we'll do occasional post game and stuff like that. That sort of thing. If you guys still like seeing that, and seeing me either be happy for my team's winning or just see me just tear them a whole new one. Realistically speaking, that is. And, looking at the state of both the West divisions, it's going to be interesting to see, can the Dodgers actually get over the bugaboos, of not winning the postseason? For me, and look, I know a person like, oh, you really can't compare to the Dodgers to the Niners because, stuff like that. Yeah, sure, I can do that. But when you look at the similarities between the Dodgers and the Niners and how well they're really constructed from a team perspective, coaching and whatnot, is a whole different thing, which I will talk on just a bit because I still think, not trying to say as a hater by that for any stretch of the means, but just not really. Like I said, I try to give my best objective opinion as possible. Because like I said, I'm not the kind of person or any sports fan for that matter, just talk a lot of shit. Unless you're part of the New York Giants fan base that decided to clap back at us for some stupid shit. But that's a whole nother story for another day. When we look at this, the Dodgers, and yes, yeah, true. I think most people here on the East Coast would. That's for sure. Unless you had league MLB TV, that's for that matter. But when you look at it from the Dodgers getting Ohtani, it's kind of like, trying to put this in the way that, okay. The way I look at it is basically how the Niners traded for Chase Young and got Javon Hargrave in the offseason, kind of improve that front seven. I know it's not the best comparison, but you gotta work with me here. Just just working with you here. And Ohtani, yeah, can he be somewhat of a needle mover with the Dodgers? Absolutely. It all depends. Can he really stay healthy, for that matter? Because obviously under the two-way position, which, like I said, it's very rare nowadays where we ever see players like that. Because usually it's either one or the other, for that matter. And you know, the man, when you look at the coaching from the MLB side to the Niners, and who are in the obviously the NFL, it's like they have because like I feel like the California sports, if you're either a Niners fan or a Dodgers fan, always just seem you either have if you're a Dodgers fan, you always have criticisms with Dave Roberts, leading this team. But I've seen some fucking Niners fans have I know as the most ironic part, I've seen some Niners fans actually have their gripes with Kyle Shanahan because, like I said, as much as I will praise Shanahan for being one of the best offensive minds in football, can he really win the big one? That's kind of the biggest question, and that's kind of what the same mindset applies to a guy like Dave Roberts. Like, can you win without having to have the season shortened? But honestly, I don't think the Dodgers can do it. From a talent perspective, I think they got one of the best rosters. I think the best talent that the Dodgers in on all of baseball. I still think the oh shit, excuse me, because I had a bit of water today. But yeah, like I'm saying, with the Dodgers, do I think they're like the number one team in baseball? One can make the argument with the talent that they have almost each and every year. Hell, I still think they have much better talent than the Mets, quite honestly. And look, and that's on the National League side of things. I don't know what the American League is looking like in terms of talent wise, because let's be real. Yeah, teams like not Las Vegas, the Athletics, the Las Vegas Athletics, because Oakland is too fucking shit to keep their own fucking franchises. You already lost 3, and technically one didn't really move that far, and that was the Warriors back to San Francisco. But that's besides the point. You lost. Now you're lost technically 2 franchises to Vegas, the A's and the Raiders. I know it's two different sports, but obviously with the Dodgers, I still think this team has potential to win multiple World Series, but I just don't think that Dave Roberts is the dude to do it. I really don't. It's just like his decisions really what hindered what this team can be. And I've liked what I've seen, especially this past year in terms of the talent wise. But I'm sorry, but like I said, Dave Roberts is going to be the one, the biggest outlier. I would say which could hold this team back. I would say winning multiple World Series, quite honestly. And I thought Andrew Freeman has done a really good job of his, using his knowledge and expertise, and what he can does in the front office, for that matter. But really, looking at this as a whole, I still think this is going to be another 100-win season for the Dodgers at the NL West because, like I said, the Padres are nowhere compared to the Dodgers. The Rockies, for sure, are not even compared. And I feel bad for Rockies fans have to deal with that bullshit year in and year out. That is Rockies baseball. The Giants, like I said, that remains to be seen because I don't think they're going to have to go through a full-blown rebuild, but they got to go through, they need to do a retooling process because how much longer does Brandon Crawford have? And that sort of thing. And the NL West is going to be, I think it's going to be really one-sided for sure. If I had to really look at it, if I had to, going to have to say do my projections, or like if I projected to what the NL West is going to look like, it's probably going to be Dodgers. While we're on that subject, though, and obviously this still ties with the Dodgers. I think that the Dodgers are still going to continue to dominate that division unless, we're going to see a huge turnaround from the Diamondbacks. Maybe the Padres if you're lucky, but I really can't really buy into them because they always somehow disappoint you every single year for whatever reason. Which kind of stinks because look at the talent. Talent's not bad. Don't get me wrong, but it's just questionable down in San Diego. Guys, and what we all know at the bottom dweller of that and of the National League West is the Colorado Rockies. That's kind of given. I'm going to see if the Giants are definitely going to be a fourth place. I would say slightly better fourth place. I'll be surprised if we actually finish, at least have a third place finish going after this season. Like I said, I can't really put into, like I said, if I were to, like I said, I'm trying to do my own projections. And like I said, I'll do more projections, in the next episode of the Between the Lines, because I think it's just an interesting conversation to have, because we're going to see a lot of teams to see what they can do in the all season and, where some of these teams stand. And we'll do that as well. But overall, not surprised that Ohtani is a Dodger. Like I said, we don't really do breaking news streams that often. That would be interesting to see Fernando Tatis out of San Diego. I'm very intrigued. I'm going to be very intrigued by that, for that matter. Like I said, the question is, who wants him? Is the biggest question. And you got to got the offering, and the fact that you have so. No, and here's another thing. I mean, God rest the owner of the Padres, but at the same time, they have so much money wrapped up into guys like Tatis, Bogarts, Manny Machado, and the fact they had to take out a loan to cover payroll, which is mind-boggling. That San Diego has spent way too much money, and right now are kind of bitten the ass, so to speak. Well, other than that, I got nothing else to add, but other than, it'll be interesting to see Shohei and Dodger Blue. But overall, like I said, and not just for Shohei and Dodger Blue, Dave Roberts can actually get his head out of his ass, which that's a bit of a tall task for hit by his standards. That is, and can this team can actually stay healthy and keep their players healthy, guys, and hopefully if Kershaw. I won't be surprised if Kershaw comes back on another 1-year deal and puts up another. I've actually thought Kershaw actually had a pretty decent season this past year. I'm not going to lie. But overall, if I'm going to have to put a projection on a 162 game schedule, I still think they're going to win at least not just over 100. It's going to be 100 plus wins because it's really hard to put a number on it. Because like I said, I hate doing math, so take that for what you will. I still think it's going to be another 100-plus win season for the Dodgers, but somehow it's going to come back to bite them. I'm just going to leave it right there, end it there. If the Dodgers somehow win over 100 games and actually not falter in the postseason, then that might change my outlook on the team going forward. But outside of that, appreciate everyone who's been in the chat. I know you probably, if you're going to anyway see this replay, you guys make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, make sure you turn on the bell for post notifications. But either you see me and Tyler go live or myself when we drop new videos, shorts, you know what it is over here at the Sports and Wrestling Connection. But yeah, it's like I said, we're gonna wait and see. But outside of that, hopefully everybody has a rest and have a safe, happy, and healthy holiday season. And that being said, I am out.